So now I'm going to start looking at the wrist hinge and how it works correctly. And as I say, it's very specific. Unfortunately, we have to go back to our grip and we look at the neutral position. Now, if I just, without even thinking about my hands, if I squeeze my upper arms together, the palms automatically get into the correct neutral position. And I was talking about Ben Hogan's book, and he talks about this position here where the creases here are running parallel and pointing straight in towards you. That's the correct position there. What that now lets us do is really fully load up and fully release the energy, and the club will square itself. Any difference from that, any change, my right hand sneaks under, it's not going to happen. And then I have to invent another wee fault to try and correct the first fault. So all I'd like you to do is to get more and more familiar with how to set the triangle. Don't think so much about your hands. That's a result of setting all this up here. I hate all this, when you have to get your knuckles here and you do this and you get it's too much to think about. Just squeeze those elbows together, where the elbows are now pointing towards my hips. And now, if I just set myself here, and this is a little exercise to try at home until you just to restart getting familiar with this new feeling. And we can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone here, because all I'm doing is back and forward. So firstly, I'm actually starting to get the feeling that I'm not hitting, I'm not forcing it, or I'm not tensely guiding it. I'm actually freewheeling, which allows more energy to transfer. And because you're doing less up here, things like the depth control remain. Come back to my little coffee table here, putting my fingers on it. If I just swing back and forward, I'm brushing the same depth every time. As soon as I start to do things up here, of course, now I've changed everything. And also it throws things like your so-called weight shift. If I just do this back and forward, I can't really help but, let my legs move properly. It just happens. It's a natural reaction to doing certain things correctly, i.e. swinging properly. So back to this feeling, elbows together, palms, don't put your palms together, leave a wee space, focus on the connection up here, this is the important bit, and then just back and forward. And as I'm doing this, you can see my hands are still saying sort of square. At this point, I can still see the back of my right hand, and my left hand is pointing at the ground. When I've got a club in my hands, the weight of the club head actually changes the movement slightly, but that's only just momentum, that will happen. And same on the way through, as I'm doing this back and forward, I feel here now, the back of my left hand is now hinging back on itself. Don't worry, this position I hear about all the time now, compressing and being here at impact, you will be here, but for an absolute split second. And in fact, I'm going to show you later how to do that right through the backswing and the downswing. But a split second later, this just releases itself. And you've gone from here, and the club is going so fast it will zip past you. So in effect, I've gone from here to here. And just try that. Putting your hands into that position there. You're pointing them out to the sides of you. Most bad grips are in this kind of position. Or wrong wrist hinge, I should really say, whereas, so the hands are now totally in a different position, and I can feel from here, if I were to snap release from there, I'd come right over the top and pull it left. From here, I'm actually traveling under. So this is the start, really, of just getting familiar, arms together, shoulders nicely down, the elbows together, and starting to just swing back and let those wrists go nice and free. And remember, no rotational movement.